Hello students. Yesterday we had the preliminary part of the explanation of Poet and Pancakes by Ashok Mithran. Today we'll be having the resumption of the same chapter. So far the important stuff over. Okay, let me put the recap of the following again, which are important stuff regarding Poet and Pancakes. The story talks about or revolves around a Gemini Studio, a film producing company who had its glorious years from 1940 to 1965. Mid of 60s we can call it there. So around 25 or 27 years or so, it had the dominance over film industry, especially when it comes to southern part of our country, India. Its head office obviously was situated in Chennai, Madras, and it was headed by an editor, come writer, S.S. Vasan, who was the editor of Anand Viketan. The story also deals with the time and around the elements which were responsible for Gemini Studios' name and fame, or what you can say, the awesome, astounding success which was possessed by Gemini Studios as well as its films there. How Gemini Studio became the spotlight, highlight, talk of the town in those days, from 1940 to 1965 or so there, because of the movies produced by Gemini Studio, were based on the life of the common masses there. And obviously the simpleton people liked those themes, raised the stories, raised in the movies produced by Gemini Studio or S.S. Vasan, the honor of it there. Ashok Mitran, who is the narrator of the story, recalls his years with his boss S.S. Vasan, and this is Poet and Pancakes is an exact extract from his book My Years with Boss. And it will be telling you, the chapter must be telling you the all elements which were responsible for Gemini Studios' grand success in those days there. And its modus operandi also will be reflected in the very deeds of its characters as well as artists there. So far, important stuff which are over. Let me put the recap again. First of all, which are important facts of the chapter, that Poet and Pancake, the chapter title itself suggests that it will be the dominance of the poet here, the writer's faculty of Gemini Studio, and Pancake was the most befitting in the famous brand of the makeup material used by Gemini Studios movies there, obviously by the artist, actor and actresses who acted in those movies. First one is the importance of Pancake, which was the most famous brand of the makeup material. Second one is obviously the fiery misery of the artists who were subjected to makeup there. What is the fiery misery? The fiery misery is the excruciating enormous heat, excruciating and the enormous heat tolerated, borne by the artists who were subjected to makeup in the makeup department is called the fiery misery. Why? Because there were multiple incandescent halogen, highly illuminated lights there, with a set of 6 or 7 mirrors also hanging at all angles were the lights, hanging at all angles were the mirrors, really increased the heat enormously, and that was not that much easy for the actor or actress there to tolerate, to bear while putting the makeup there. This is called fiery misery. The next important thing is the strict hierarchy adopted by the makeup department. What was the strict hierarchy there? The system there from low to high, that the chief makeup man put the makeup on the man or the lead hero and heroine. The senior assistant of the chief makeup man put the makeup on the side actor, or the subsidiary hero and the heroine, and the junior assistant of the chief makeup man put makeup on the comedian or villain, so on, so forth. That was the strict hierarchy. Next important thing is how we can say that Gemini Studio makeup department was the best example of national integration. Yes, we can say, okay, with confirmation, with certainty, that it was a best place to witness, to observe, to justify the national integration, because they have worked the people from all diverse culture, all diverse states, all diverse religion, all diverse languages. They work the people from Maharashtra, Dharwad, Kannada, Anglo-Burmese, Tamils, Kannada, Tamil Nadu, and a lot more. Almost each and every state participation, representation could be seen in the makeup department. So we can say that it was a best example. Makeup department of Gemini Studio was the best example, to witness national integration. Before All India Radio and Doordarshan started transmitting or broadcasting their programs on the same theme, that is national integration. Next important thing was office boy. Description of office boy. Office boy may be a designation or the position in Gemini Studio makeup department there, but he was not a boy at all. He was office boy, was a man in early 40s, maybe 42, 43 his age. But when he came 20 years before to Gemini Studio, he had yearnings a lot, he had dreams a lot. He wanted to become a star actor. Please underline these things. He wanted to become a star actor. He wanted to become a top writer or a screenplay writer, a director, a lyricist even. He wanted to become. He was a bit poet too. But all the dreams of the office boy got shattered, and he finished his journey in filmmaking or the film industry by becoming a mayor office boy. That was a trivial position at the Gemini Studio. But followed by it is an important part of that. Ashok Mittal, the narrator of the story, he too spent 10-12 years in that Gemini Studio. His job was quite insignificant, trivial, unimportant, or not that much important there. He worked in a cubicle, a small room having French windows, which had got a balcony, which get opened to a balcony or a lawn or a garden, is called French windows. And his work was to cut out the newspaper clips from wide varieties of the newspaper on wide varieties of the subjects, and store them in a file. And many of the contents which he could not trim out or the cut out, he was supposed to make a handwritten note also and file them in the folder or store them in a file. This task was considered by almost each and every member of Gemini Studio as an unimportant one, insignificant one, good for nothing one. And office boy, who was a frustrated man, irritated man. Why? Because he could not realize his dream. Though he thought himself to be a tremendous actor, tremendous lyricist, having a great potential, but could not get an access, could not get a platform, could not get an opportunity to relish, to cherish, to cash, display, or put a stage on his caliber or a talent there, or showcase his talent there, in the lack of opportunities. Now, a frustrated man always seeks someone, such as someone to whom he could vomit his all grievances of failure or fiasco. Therefore, whenever he got time, he just barged into, gushed into, entered into, intruded into Ashok Mitran's cubicle, small room, and just vomited all his grievances. And even didn't forget to disclose or to tell, apprise Ashok Mitran that SS Vasan has got no acumen, no wit, no intelligence there to identify the hidden potential of the character of the person like office boy there, and his talent, his vibrant talent. Office boy generally vomited these things to Ashok Mitran, that his vibrant talent was getting wasted in doing small things of putting makeup on the crowd there. But Ashok Mitran didn't want to listen, but there was only one chance, one reason, one case that could save Ashok Mitran from the long narrative, frustrating speeches of office boy. That was a crowd shooting, because office boy, whenever a crowd shooting will be there, office boy will have to go and put the makeup on the faces of the crowd by taking a giant vessel, okay, dipping the big brush and slapping one stroke, second stroke, and the makeup over. That was the last thing which I explained. Now resume the journey. Was being allowed to go west in department of the barbers and perverts. Okay, these were the last two things there. According to office boy, his talent was getting wasted. Okay, could not really show SS Vasan could not extract the true worth, the true talent, okay, of Mr. Office Boy there. And now, according to Office Boy, his potential, his caliber was going wasted, was getting wasted in the department suitable for barbers and perverse. Barbers, okay, obviously the people who cut or trim the hair of the actor and actresses is called obviously barber. This is referring here the makeup department. Second, the perverts. Perverts are the people who have immorality in their character, who are not legally moral there, who lack the moral aspect or the legal aspect in their personality. In other words, we can say who are not having a good conduct, a good character, okay, within themselves there. So makeup department was a department suitable for only the barbers and the people with immorality, and office boy was a mismatch in that department. That was the grievances vomited by office boy to Ashok Mitran. Ashok Mitran didn't like those things, but only a crowd shooting could save him, okay, from the long narration of frustration, irritation of Mr. Office Boy. Soon I was praying to for crowd shooting all the time. Nothing short of it could save me from his epics. Epics, long narrative speeches of frustration, irritation. Only one thing could save Ashok Mitran from the long narrative, frustrating speeches of Office Boy. That was a crowd shooting. Because crowd shooting, he got to go outside of Ashok Mitran to put or apply makeup on the crowd. In all instances of frustration, you will always find the anger directed towards a single person, openly, covertly, secretly. Covertly, secretly, and this man is the makeup department, office boy. This man of the makeup department, office boy, makeup department was convinced, impressed, knew that all his woes, all his sorrows, suffering, ignominy, embarrassment, disappointment, and neglect were due to quote Mangalam Subbu. Now a new character is coming your way, according to office boy, and it is before that he is telling about in all instances of frustration, irritation, we every human, it is a psychology of or a human tendency that every human in his direct situation for his failure generally puts blame on a certain person. Okay, though it may be his own mistake for his failure, but he puts blame. He actually allegedly puts blame. Makes someone responsible for his failure. And according to office boy, there was a person in Gemini studio called Mangalam Subbu. In short, Subbu. Real name Subramaniam. I want your utmost attention because Subbu will be the key character of the chapter. So according to office boy, his failure and fiasco in film industry, Kot Mangalam Subbu was the person responsible for it there. and how he is blaming or allegedly calling Mr. Subbu the reason of his failure? Because let me tell you, both of them almost made their debut to Gemini Studio at the same time, almost there. They were the contemporaries, both of them. Subbu, Kotamangalam. Why that the peculiarity is seen in Kotamangalam Subbu name? Because he came from a southern India state. Name of the village Subbu belonged to was Kotamangalam, and he belonged to Kotamangalam place or the village. Therefore, he derived the first part of his name from his native place, Kotamangalam. Subbu, the nickname. Real name, Subramaniam. In short, Subbu. Full name, Kotamangalam Subbu, as he belonged to Kotamangalam place there, a village there. Mr. Office Boy blamed all the blames on Mr. Subbu for his failure and fiasco. Why? Because in the coming line he will be telling, let me put the explanation in advance there. Because according to Office Boy, the caliber, the potential, both of them possessed almost similar in proportion, in quantity. But only one place was there. Okay, one part was there where Mr. Subbu had some lead over Mr. Office Boy. That was his caste and community. Subbu was a Brahmin. And you see, Brahmin was considered till date. Okay, they are considered the community of Brahmin, the upper caste people. And Mr. Office Boy probably belonged to a lower caste or a scheduled caste or a scheduled tribe. Okay, or the downtrodden community. Therefore, according to Office Boy, he could not get those opportunity, he could not get those links, those contacts, those acquaintances, those opportunities that he deserved. Why? Because of his low caste. And on the other hand, Subbu, who was a Brahmin, okay, relished more opulent opportunity, more wealthy opportunity, had more links, had got more contacts, and had got more platforms, had got more opportunity being a Brahmin. Otherwise, if you talk about talent, potential, okay, they almost had the same talent or the same potential. But only one place where Subbu had got some lead, appreciable lead, that was his caste. Caste was the main reason, okay, a main hurdle for Mr. Office Boy. Caste became a hurdle, an impediment, an obstacle, okay, which stopped his journey, okay, too early before getting it started. And Kotamangalam Subbu, who was a Brahmin fellow, relished cash, okay, what you can say, showcased his caste, okay, in making films there. He obviously had an appreciable lead over Office Boy since he was a Brahmin. That was not truth at all there. There may be some elaborated blames also. You never know. Professional envy, professional rivalry, professional jealousy is always there among the actor and actresses there in film industry. There may be a bias. This particular statement of Office Boy may be a biased one, judgmental one, a prejudiced one. Okay, let us check whether he was speaking truth or not. Producing company Upper Boy and neglect due to Kotamangalam Subbu, number 2 at Gemini Studio. You see, number 2 suggests, shows, denotes, tells us the importance, the significance of Mr. Subbu. Okay, how important he was for Gemini Studio and for SS Vasan. He was tagged as number 2. Obviously, number 1 will be the honor, SS Vasan, and Subbu was reckoned number 2 at Gemini Studio. That says all about Subbu's importance, Subbu's position at Gemini Studio. He was considered number 2. You being reader also, I would be suggesting you, please remember this tagline altogether. Subbu, number 2 at Gemini Studio. Who was Subbu? First line you got to remember, okay, is he was number 2 at Gemini Studio. After SS Vasan, he was the key figure over there. His career and had number 2 at Gemini Studio. He could not have had a more encouraging opening in films there. He could not have had more encouraging opening there. When we talk about his debut, the debut wasn't great there. It was not an awesome debut. Okay, he made in film industry or the Gemini Studio. It means that his earlier movies were not that much super hit or blockbuster. But different studio he could not have in film. Then our grown-up makeup boy, that is office boy, makeup boy, office boy had. On the contrary, he must have had to face more uncertain and difficult times. For when he began his career, there were no firmly established film producing companies or studios there. Even in the matter of education, especially formal education, Subbu could not have had an appreciable lead over Office Boy. Obviously, the era where not many of the movies were published, were released in those days, were made in those days there. So both were having a tough time. Subbu also, Office Boy also, because they were not the great number of making of movies in those days there. Potential talent almost same there. There was not a great discrimination between them, so we can easily spot, oh, Subbu is far more ahead, far more talented than that of Mr. Office Boy there. Okay, both of them started their career, their profession in acting field on a bad note, because both of the actors had a bad opening. Okay, in film industry, their first movies were not that much what you can say impressive one, influential one, or hit one, or super hit one. But at one part, Subbu had got an appreciable lead. Okay, education wise also both were almost same educated there, but when it comes to caste and community, Subbu has got an appreciable lead. That was, he was a Brahmin, and Office Boy perhaps maybe a person from downtrodden community. Formal education, Subbu could not have an appreciable lead. Both were educated, okay, almost same lead over of our boy, Office Boy, but by virtue, but by having a quality, virtue, good quality, virtue, good quality, okay, of being born a Brahmin, a virtue, yes indeed. Generally, there is no role of a person if somebody has taken birth in low caste or upper caste there. Obviously, it must be your deed. By which you must be evaluated by this world there. But in those days, caste mattered a lot. Caste mattered a lot there. So it was a great virtue, it was a great quality of Subbu that he was a Brahmin though, according to Office Boy. Virtue of Brahmin, indeed, he must have had exposure to more affluent, wealthy, opulent there. Being a Brahmin, he had an enormous contact, he had an enormous openings, he had an enormous opportunities, especially the wealthy opportunities, wealthy contacts he had got, and because of that, Office Boy trailed behind, lagged behind, and Subbu kept moving forward on the horses of success there, being a Brahmin. It was really a great correct trait or a great quality of Subbu that he was a Brahmin. And people, he had the ability. Now I would like to note down these important lines of Subbu's character sketch. Please keep it on there. Okay, keep writing those contents there. Kotmangalam Subbu, the character sketch, can be asked, will be asked. In fact, in the last examination, the same question is asked there. Okay. Subbu was number 2 at Gemini Studio, the first line. Okay, and second one, he had the ability to look cheerful. He had the ability, the trait, the quality to look, what you can say, happy, okay, cheerful, again, he always remained in gay and getty mood, and that obviously perhaps attracted, fascinated the people around him, towards him. Look cheerful at all the time, even after having had a hand in a flop movie. Okay, it is not that much easy trait or the quality. People who had a hand or who have a hand in flop movie, generally they are depressed, they are disappointed, they are dejected, they are dismal. But even after giving a flop movie, Subbu still maintained a cheerful smile on his face. That was something peculiar, something special about Subbu, that he had the ability to look cheerful all the time, even after having a flop movie. He always had worked for somebody. Oh my, what a man, helping natured man, he was there, cosmopolitan, he was there, always had the ability to look cheerful, and second one, he was found helping the people around him all the time there. So that was something special about Subbu, that he always had work for somebody. He could never do things on his own there. That is called selflessness there. That is called selflessness there of Subbu is highlighted here. So we could find Subbu working for other people all the time. He could not do anything for his own there. Oh, that was a great quality indeed of Mr. Subbu. Okay, as a person, as an individual, as a human, he was humanitarian. He was humanitarian. But his sense of loyalty made him identify himself with his principal. His principal, S.S. Vasan. His principal, S.S. Vasan. And next quality of Mr. Subbu is he was loyal to his boss, S.S. Vasan. Or you see, the people who are bosses, who are the owners of the big firm or a company, they want the loyal people around them. And Subbu's character, okay, was interluded with the same highly wanted quality, that was loyalty. He was very loyal, he was very faithful to his principal, his boss, his S.S. Vasan. Advantage for his profit means we could see Mr. Subbu working all the time, okay, to give benefit to his boss, S.S. Vasan. And every boss would be admiring, will be adoring, would be wishing to have such people around them. Advantage, he was tailor-made of for films there. He was tailor-made, he was most suitable, tailor-made, suitable, conducive, congenial for film. You can see that he was born, okay, to act in movies only. We can say that thing also. He was the most suitable person, okay, for films there. Be it directing a movie, be it writing the script of the movie, writing lyrics for the songs there, or maybe some what can say, a special suggestion to be given to the director or the producer. He was tailor-made. He was man of ideas. He was the man of ideas. Whenever the director needed some sort of inspirational stuff there, when the director got stuck in between while directing a scene or shooting in the particular scene of a movie there, whenever he got stuck, the producer director, they always remember, oh, Subbu, please come, we are stuck badly in this scene, in shooting of this scene, please help us out. In the end, Subbu always came with lot more many solutions, okay, to those people who ever asked his help in shooting that particular scene where they got stuck badly. That was something extraordinary, exemplary, okay, formidable quality of Mr. Subbu in filmmaking. Commanded creativity to his always had work for somebody. He could turn his completely and turn his entire creativity to his principal's advantage. Whatever he did to advantage, to give advantage, to get a benefit, to give all the benefits to his boss all the time. He was tailor-made for films. He was a man, Subbu was a man, okay, who could be inspired when commanded. Means motivation you need all the time. Motivated people you got to have around you. And Subbu was the person who could be motivated whenever the boss, S.S. Vasan, desired. Okay, instantly Mr. Subbu was all set, okay, to do even a next to impossible task for his boss, Mr. S.S. Vasan. The red fights the tigers underwater and kills her, but takes pity on the cubs and trains them lovingly. I don't know how to do the scene, the producer would say, and Subbu would come out of the four ways of the red, pouring affection, showing affection on it with some offspring, children, cubs. Here, offspring, cubs of the tigress. Offspring good, but I am not sure it is effective enough. The producer would say, and in a minute Subbu would come out with the 14 more alternatives. Filmmaking must have been and was too easy with a man like Subbu around, and if ever there was a man who gave direction and definition to Gemini Studios during its golden year, it was Mr. Subbu. The entire lines are dedicated to admire, to appreciate Subbu's quality, character, salient feature, Okay, how tailor-made he was. Okay, whenever a director or producer got stuck, which I explained already, in between somewhere in a movie to shoot a particular scene, and one time what happened, a producer who was actually carrying out a scene underwater, a fight was to be shot between tigers and a rat, and he wanted to show the rat particular won the race, won the fight, won the bout, and tigress was killed by the rat. And but because the tigress got killed, obviously who will be taking care, who will be tending, who will be looking after okay, her kids there, her cubs, okay, her babies, her offsprings there. Obviously the rat who killed the tigress, okay, she was supposed to show all the affection, all the love over those cubs whose mother was killed by it there. So producer was in a dilemma how to shoot that scene underwater. And that rat was showing its all affection to the cubs whose mother tigress was killed by it there. Then the producer got stuck in a dilemma, so he asked Subbu, please help us out, how to shoot that scene. I am clueless, please help us out. And Subbu within a minute came with 4 to 5 solutions there, okay, that can be tailor-made to shoot that scene. But if the producer would still say, no, yaar, Subbu, whatever solution the ways you told us, okay, it's not that much effective. Then next moment, Subbu would be coming with 14 more or 16 more or 13 more or 12 more solutions there of how to shoot that scene there. So filmmaking was very easy, having Subbu around you, and he was the man who could be motivated as commanded, as ordered, commanded and ordered. And he gave, please underline, he gave the exclusive direction and definition to Gemini Studio. Okay, and without Subbu, Gemini Studio producer and director could not even think to make movies there. He became a part and parcel of Gemini Studio's movies. He became the most integral part of Gemini Studio fraternity and family there. Indeed, Subbu was a person, was a tailor-made for films, and filmmaking must have been very easy having Subbu around you. Producer would be okay, and with 14 more alternatives, filmmaking must have been okay. Direction Subbu, and Gemini Studio during his golden year, it was Subbu. And when we talk about the contribution, the credit to Gemini Studio's grand success there, obviously Subbu had a big hand in that. S.S. Vasan, obviously being the honor, okay, must be given credit for that, but Subbu was not that much far behind when it comes to earn glory, okay, for Gemini Studio. He was instrumental for Gemini Studio to get a grand success, okay, in those days there. Even there was a man, it was Subbu. Subbu had a separate identity as a poet, and though he was certainly capable of more complex and higher forms, to write more complicated literary things there. Though Subbu here being mentioned as a multi-talented person. He was a top director, he was a top actor, he was a loyal fellow, he was tailor-made for making movies. Filmmaking was very easy, having Subbu around you. He was a poet also, he was a lyricist also. He himself was a man of great creativity there. He could have been the greatest poet or greatest writer of that era if he wished, but he dedicated entire breath and time to S.S. Vasan and Gemini Studio. Therefore, he could not justice with his another art, another caliber, another talent of being a poet there. If he dedicated his entire breath and being to poetry, he could have been a frustrated writer or the poet of that time.